Hello, sweet friends. The King's Daughter is here to let you know that you can survive anything. Yes, you can, because I am a survivor of emotional incest. So you ask, what is that, King's Daughter? What is emotional incest? Well, let me read you a brief description of what that is, because I survived it. This type of incest, also known as emotional incest, is a type of abuse in which a parent looks to their child for emotional support that would be normally provided by another adult. The effects of covert incest on children when they become adults are thought to mimic actual incest, although to a lesser degree. So basically, the best book that you could go and get for this, and I will put in the description below, is The Emotional Incest Syndrome: What to Do When a Parent's Love Rules Your Life, by Dr. Patricia Love. So let me bring up a video. I'm going to do a screen share here. Let's go there. Let's go to Chrome. Let's look this up. I'll just have to go to YouTube. And I'm going to look up emotional incest. And let's see what, there's a licensed therapist that's talking about this, so you can understand better what it is. I lived it until my father died, until my mother died. They didn't know how to relate as adults to each other. Therefore, they looked to Lolita and my sisters also to fulfill their adult life in every single emotional matter. And it's very sad, even though my father was very, very,
Hi, it's Tony Robbins.
had a very good career.
I'm
sorry for this. Let me try to skip this. Let me get further into this. I hate this.
Now, this is not an HBO special.
I'm just going to turn this down until this ad gets off of here. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I was saying that my father, even though he had a great career, highly achieved in his career, when he'd get home, he would relate to me on a level that made me have to fulfill his emotional needs. And this went on all my life. My mother passed when I was 52. And my father passed when I was 56. That's when I got released from that emotional trauma that I was under. But the damage is done. The damage is still there. But I look, as the King's daughter, to my Father, my Heavenly Father that created me, to release me from this pain. So let's hear what Kati Morton has to say about emotional incest.
Itself makes it sound like sexual abuse, kind of, right? But it's not sexual at all.
I'm going to stop there. Let me go back to my stream, because it's not sexual abuse. I was never sexually abused. So let's go back to what she's saying. I'm going to have to go back to that other screen. Let me bring it up right here. All right.
Emotional incest is when a parent doesn't have any healthy boundary between themselves and their child. They rely on their child for emotional support and treat them like a partner instead of a child.
That's what I suffered all my life. They never treated me like a child. They treated me like I was an adult. So therefore, you don't have a childhood because they're relying for you to meet every bit of their emotional needs. That's a heavy burden to put on a child. It's a heavy burden to put on somebody all of their life. And if you got out of line, you got that ugly, bitter look from your father. You always wanted to make him feel. I tried to please him all my life till his death. Yes, I've mentioned in here he was my partner in crime because I put him on a pedestal. But that was wrong for me to do. And as I got older, I should have realized there's something really wrong here. There's something wrong.
Meaning they may cry to their child about their divorce or breakup, even sharing sexually explicit details with their child, treating them like a friend.
Now, all my life, my parents did treat me pretty much like a friend. There was never any sexual abuse done to the king's daughter here. Never. But there was that constant emotional abuse. And of course, my parents were married for 52 years. So there was never that divorce to come to me and cry about. But they did not have a healthy relationship. So I was always in the middle. My mother suffered from bipolar disorder, and we never knew what was really wrong with her until her older years, because she was like manic most of the time, and not like in the ways that people see. It's just that she had this high energy, and but then when the depressions came, they were crippling. She would be in a depressive state and just not hardly talk. And this happened in her late 50s, and she would just stare at the wall or she'd cry. And it was emotionally crippling to see, because I think this came from my father when he retired. She didn't know what to do, because here's this man demanding breakfast, lunch, dinner. So she couldn't live her life anymore. So she felt very controlled by him. And it was very sad. So let's listen to some more about what Kati Morton has to say about emotional incest.
Or even a spouse. And this can be a huge burden on a child. And it can make us feel pressure to, have to fix whatever's going on with our parent. In a perfect world, a child would be free to be a child and to socialize with other children. In an emotionally incestual relationship, a child often feels guilty if they leave their parent at home, or knows just how much the parent needs them, so they won't engage in after-school activities.
Now, I, as a child, had a different life than my sisters. Till I was at least in the 9th or 10th grade, lived abroad. So I lived in Hawaii and the Philippines. And I had a good life, but the emotional incest was there. Like, I would play with my friends after school, but once I came home, I could tell something was different about my life than my friends. My friends' parents were highly involved in their children's school lives. My mother wasn't like that. My mother was the type of woman that she got up in the morning and she cleaned the house till it was sterile. And she didn't ignore me, but that was more important than what was going on in my life. And I knew that she loved me, but I had more of close relationship with my father. I was Daddy's little girl. And all of his acclamations and praises came from him. But I knew something was different in my family. I knew it. And my sisters, I was really raised like an only child, because my sisters married. One married when I was 9 and the other married when I was 10. So after that, it was just Mama, Daddy, and me. and the emotional incest really roared. And I know I was raised very unhealthily, and it's painful to look back. But, you know, I'm not going to blame them for anything. It is what it is. And when you get older, you just do what you can do in this life now, because now they are in heaven with the Heavenly Father. So let's go some more into here and dig deeper on emotional incest.
Now, obviously, this can appear in many variations, but overall, just know that the child isn't able to form healthy and happy relationships with those around them and can be emotionally manipulated by the parent. Because think about it. If I'm so worried that my mom is going to be upset and if I don't come home, or she's so sad when I'm not there, she's so lonely that I don't do any after school stuff. I don't play any sports.
Now, I'm just going to move forward in my life because maybe I can't remember a lot when I was younger, but I know a lot occurred that I knew was different. But when my mom got really ill when I was 40 years old, I had to take care of her. And maybe it was 42, but I had to take care of her for 10 years. 10 years of my life. But I'd walk on coals to do that again. To have her back on this earth with me. So 10 years of my life stopped. Didn't see friends. Occasionally I did. But most of the time I was from the time I got up in the morning at 5:30 in the morning, drove to their house to take care of all my mother's emotional, physical, and spiritual needs. I was there. Of course, we hired CNAs. I saw over them. My mother was bedridden. She couldn't walk from breaking her hip, but I was there to take care of her. Like any good child would do. Now, many will put their parents into a nursing home, but I couldn't do that. Financially, we had the money to do that, but I just couldn't do that. So the emotional incest continued strongly from my father. And if he could, now by that time, I'm an adult. And if he couldn't manipulate the situation, a fight would ensue between him and I. Because he had to have his way. He could never look at me, the king's daughter, as an adult. He could never. I was still that little girl, and I had to emotionally act as that little girl, or a fight would ensue. So let's see what Katie has to say here.
Sports that I like. I don't try out for that play I've really been wanting to, or try to get into that band.
I'm going to move forward. That is not.
Not our children. Our children should be free to develop their own emotional awareness and connectivity with other kids and other.
I agree 100%. I didn't raise my children like my parents raised me, because I learned from a great man that I'm married to. He always taught them to be self-sufficient, to develop their own personalities. I'm talking about my husband. To learn from their mistakes. They never had any kind of emotional incest built into them from I nor my husband. They turned out wonderfully. And at 18, they went to college. They graduated. They built their own lives. One has been married for 12 years now, I think. The other went through a 17-year marriage and got a divorce, but she's still strong and has a great career, and there's no problems with her. She's doing well, and she's moved to a new city, starting a new life, and I'm so proud of her. So back to, let me move a little bit forward and see, because I had emotional incest done to me till my parents died.
Things were not, the better it will get and the easier it will be, okay? And we'll start to feel a little bit of levity, maybe a little bit happier, a little better, because we have more space. And the boundaries can slowly move out. I don't want you to think you have to throw out boundaries and then that's just what it is. That's what makes them hard. That's why I think a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do that. We can start little by little. Certain things aren't okay.
Now, she is talking about boundaries, and I'm sure she's talking about these boundaries that are set as somebody is older. Now, if you get to go to a good therapist like Katie, and the family's working with all together to break this cycle of emotional incest, oh man, that is heavenly, because nobody wants to have emotional incest and never break the cycle as an adult. How I have to live with that pain of what I lived through all my life. But it is what it is. And now I don't look back, because I have had a healing with my Father. I look to my heavenly Father, not my earthly father, every day. So let's see what Katie has to say.
I would prefer to do it this way. Just make sure we're communicating them. We're not just shutting down, telling them nope and walking away. We have to communicate, like, I don't like hearing about that. It's really upsetting, or it's really uncomfortable. If they try to fight you on it, that's when you can say, you know what, I'm just gonna have to walk away. I don't want to talk about this. And that's how you set up boundaries healthfully. So I have a bunch of videos about boundaries. You can just search Katie Morton boundaries.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to my Streamlabs, and let's just all right. Now go to Katie Morton, follow Katie Morton, and check out all videos on boundaries. I am just going to leave this here with you. I am a survivor. I'm a proud survivor. I have survived everything that's come my way, everything that's tried to knock me down, everything that's tried to keep the king's daughter right where she used to be. I'm not there no more. I'm saved by grace, and I love my Lord. Let me see if I can leave this with you. Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth, I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Psalm 61, 1, 2. That is so beautiful. So very beautiful. So if you have ever suffered from any kind of incest, sexually or emotional incest, you can be a survivor. You can survive it, because I did. Talk to you, sweet people, later. Bye-bye now.